Welcome to Talent Takeover Unfiltered. Taylor, it's just you and I today. What's going on?
Just a shimmy for the I feel like we're starting every episode that way. Not just something light. There's no music. Just so everyone knows, there's definitely not any music that you guys aren't hearing. This is just us.
It's our head music. Wait, that sounded weird. I'm sorry. I'm in the gutter.
Oh, your mind is in the gutter. You live there. You live there. You're a permanent resident. I RSVP to come over sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. I live there with you. But I'm excited for this today because I think this is going to be a super informative episode for our listeners.
Yeah. And as a heads up, we have not researched the shit out of this. It was more of a like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And why do we both not know about it? Like, I remember when we found this out, we were like, I pinged so many people in the industry. I was like, do you know about this? Do you know about this? Do you know? And nobody knew. And I was just like, why do we not know?
Exactly. Like, how have we been in recruiting as long as we have and not know about this? And I think our listeners by this point are like, what the fuck is this? Y'all keep saying this. Get into the shit already. Spit it out. So,
welcome to Talent Takeover
Unfiltered.
When it comes to working hard and keeping it real, we know our shit. Self-care, happiness, inner peace, and time. I'm Brianna Rooney, and this is Taylor Bradley.
Hey, y'all.
And we have thrived in chaos and turned it into an art form. So, Taylor, what are we doing here today?
We're here to give you a raw, under-the-hood view of all things recruiting and finally give credit where credit is due to a long underrated industry that's full of quote-unquote experts.
All right. Well, then let's take this show to the road.
Come on. Anticipation.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Well, it is now. There's a lot of shit we say that I'm like, I'm not sure if that's a word, but it sounds good. That's a t-shirt, merch. Yeah, but today we are talking about the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which sounds like a fucking mouthful. That's why they call it the WARN Act. So, Brianna, do you want to kind of give them some backstory on how this came to be and what it is? We can get into it, but how you found this?
Yeah, actually, so I can't take the credit for this. Kate, who heads up, our brand and marketing over here at Talent Approach Thriversity and the Millionaire Recruiter, she came to me like run into my office and she was like, "Oh my God, do you know about the WARN Act, the WARN report?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Calm down." And she saw it actually on Instagram. This woman posted it, and it was almost like she was reenacting this layoff conversation she was having with herself. It was actually really well done and entertaining. But she was like, "Hey, Barbara, you're laid off today because of XYZ." And the employee was like, "Yeah, it's okay. I saw on the WARN report that you guys were doing this, and I actually already have an offer. So thanks. So I'll take your severance. Yeah. And I also have another job." And I was like, "Wait, what?" So it is this report that every state has, and it's by law, which is crazy, that they have to report a layoff 60 days before it happens.
Boom.
What?
And what this means for our listeners and why this is impactful is that you have access to this report. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's really, let's include some links for them in the description of this. We'll include some links for you on where to get this information. But basically the WARN Act is a United States labor law where certain employers are required to provide advance notice that they will be laying off people. And so there's criteria there. So it's not just any and every company. And I think understanding the criteria at a high level, or us covering it at a high level, is really important. And again, everybody should do their own research. We just stumbled upon this and kind of, we're like, we need to share it with people as soon as possible, especially given the current conditions of the market, the times that we're living in. The more prepared a person could be, the better. And so we'll give you guys some links on where to go to find this information. But it's crazy to me whenever I saw that this has been around since 1989.
I know.
And none of us knew about it.
No, it's wild. And especially because, what I've actually enjoyed the last couple of years, I wish it was before, but like now there's layoff lists where people are like, yeah, I want people to know that I'm laid off. Before it was like, no, I don't want people to know that I just got let go. Like I'm a stinky cheese. Like no, because that's how they were feeling. And now we get those reports and we get access to help. And I think that as a community, that's really cool. But yet, why hasn't this WARN Act gone public and viral like that. And then it makes me feel like I live under a rock, which sometimes I kind of do. But I'm like, how is this not on LinkedIn? I just don't get it. Or where has it been?
Yeah, exactly. Like and then who stumbled upon it with these things? I always wonder, like, who put it out there first? Like, who made this thing? Because it's lived for so long, originated in 1989. None of us knew about it. So it's like, what made this thing go public, basically? And I don't think we could find the source. There's a great website that we did find, though, where somebody literally created an entire website that is this report updated in real time. So it's like that big of a deal. It's really, really cool. And we'll definitely provide you guys with that link. But I think going into some of the criteria for companies, and, I'm going to have to read this because I don't have this shit memorized, but it applies to employers with 100 or more full-time employees or 100 or more employees who work a combined total of at least 4,000 hours per week. So that's like criteria one. Criteria two is it also applies to employers with fewer than 100 employees if they lay off 50 or more employees who make up at least 1/3 of the employer's total workforce. So I think talking about the criteria is important because people could go look at that list and be like, well, I was laid off, my company's not on here, Right. Like, so I think understanding why certain companies have to abide by this is really important. And, even there's definitions of like, you have to be having mass layoffs, and a mass layoff, as per their definition, is a reduction in force that affects at least 33% of the employer's workforce, or at least 50 employees, whichever is greater, at a single site of employment during any 30-day period. So I know people are like, what the fuck did she just say?
I know. Well, which is, again, we're gonna put this report in there and just educate yourself. And what we want to make sure to know that this isn't one of those things to keep you like on your toes, like keep refreshing this every single, day or two because you're scared that your company is going to be laid off. This should just be like, look, you can put an alert on if you want. If your company is in this criteria, just figure it out first and foremost. And then also here's the thing, like we talked about this in one of our other episodes. It's like, you're just supposed to always be ready.
Always,
you always be ready. Like always have your LinkedIn ready. Always have, and your LinkedIn is your resume at that point. So it's like always revitalize that stuff. Like I just did it 2 weeks ago. I got all these cool little emojis on it. I'm like, God, this feels good. It's like spring cleaning.
To do a little revamp of your LinkedIn. And to your point, we've talked about it before. Don't wait to ask for recommendations. Ask for that stuff in real time. It's things like that you'll be like, fuck, I wish I would have done that. Like I wish I would have done that back then. And it's just one of those things. If you don't take any advice from any of the bullshit rambling and, shit talking we do, that's a good one, is that make sure you update your LinkedIn in real time. Make sure you get recommendations, feedback, surveys, whatever it is that you do, that is an indication of your level of performance on something. But going back to the Warren report, I think there's so many different purposes that this serves for people who like, it's obviously to stay on your toes, to kind of just like you said, put an alert, put a notification, don't look at it every day. I feel like that could make a person crazy if you were staying in that every day. But it allows you to plan ahead, like you can see if there's a possibility of a layoff. People can go ahead and be planning to negotiate better severance packages. Understanding like if your employer is one of those that's supposed to provide a 60-day notice and they didn't, per this WARN Act, what are you entitled to? And again, it's just educate yourself on this because we don't know the ins and outs of it, but we felt like we need to give back. We heard about this. Yeah. Give back to, that's kind of what we always try to do. And we need to keep people informed as we get more informed.
Yeah. For me, what I always like to know, and just if you're in the recruiting space in general, I hope you're doing this, is keeping up on trends. So I think it's great, even if like, let's just say you're an agency, let's just say you're an agency owner, recruiter, whatever you want, whatever it is, but you should go on these lists too. And say like, hey, what companies are going to have layoffs? Because now I know where I'm going to go hunt. Now I know what candidates are going to need help. Now I know, all these things. And again, it's not to freak everybody out, but also I'm going to start to look at trends of what industries do I see laying off? Where do I see it? And all of that stuff matters. It helps with your biz dev. It helps to be like, okay, great. Look at ed tech is taking a hit. Like I'm going to go over to health tech because I noticed there's no health tech on this, so it's, again, just finding trends and trying to just better your business as a whole and be aware. I think it's important.
No, that's super important. And I didn't even think about the whole biz dev side of it and really what industries that will help you. Because it kind of seems like gross. You're using a layoff report to like further yourself, but it's a strategy, and it's like, it's happening anyway. So why not utilize the information that's at your fingertips to help better your business or service your business or move the needle or pivot if you need to. You know, I definitely think, I didn't even think about that. Like, it serves dual purposes for people, even people that aren't necessarily going to be impacted by a layoff as per this report.
Yeah. And here's the thing, to be clear, it doesn't say names on this. It just says how many people and in what location. So it's like, we don't want you to freak out and be like, oh my God, for sure I'm the one getting laid off. It's like, you don't know that, but just be prepared. Yeah. You know, just like take a peek around, or you know what I would even do? Why not talk to your manager about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just, hey, do you know anything? Like that, that's a whole conversation that I think is just super important. On the flip side, and because I think we have to talk about both sides. I mean, it kind of sucks for companies to have to do this, because when it's found, do you have to fear that your employees now are completely disengaged?
I mean, I would think that that's the natural response any employer is going to have. And I think that's probably a good reason why this information has been kept under wraps for so long. I don't know how they did it. You know, I don't know how it was under the covers this whole time. No fucking clue. But I think that's probably a huge concern that a lot of companies have. But I mean, in the times that we're living in right now in the current market, like, everybody's in fear of a layoff anyway. You know what I mean? This report isn't going to spark fear in people that probably isn't already there.
Yeah, exactly. So then let's hit them with some, I guess, just tips and strategies on how to stay positive. So like, let's just say, shit, like, I'm on, my company's on this list. Now what? What do I do?
Now I would think that you need to start looking for a job, you know, like, I'll give you a story. So, the one time that I was laid off, fortunately it was only once, that I was laid off in my career. We went into work, normal day, thinking, okay, you know, we're going to just rock it. Then our VP, who lives in a completely different state, just shows up in the office and unannounced. And we're like, oh, you know, hey, Joe Schmo, or, you know, I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but hey, but it was weird. Like, everybody knew, like, that's not normal, because our direct manager didn't even know this person was going to be in town. And so then, you know, we all work an entire day that day. And then at the end of the day, we were given a box and said, okay, we're closing down this office. Here's a box, gather your stuff. You know, we're letting everybody go. And so it was like closing down the office, which was its own little department of this very, very, very large company, like a brand and company that you and I have talked about that's been around forever. But this was like a major accounts division of it. And it was something that they had done maybe a year or two, and they decided to shut it down and disperse the business out. But my point of saying all that, we were given a box, and it was like the most disgusting feeling I've ever had. No indication this was coming at all. Blindsided, worked a full day, busting our ass, being like, oh, the VP's here, you know, let's really show up, show out. And then, and so I think that for people, if you have information at your fingertips, and we've said this before on other episodes in regards to other situations, you need to educate yourself. And now that everybody knows this exists, go in there, look at the report, kind of see if you're getting this feeling or this vibe internally, because as there's been so many layoffs, you know, currently happening every day out there, you see a lot, or I've seen a lot on LinkedIn, of people being like, I felt like something was coming, you know, like maybe it's only at a certain level. I'm not really sure, but I've seen that comment several times where people are like, I felt like something was coming. And to your point, it could even be certain industries. Like, if you know XYZ companies laying people off and they're in the same industry as you, and that industry is taking a big hit, then it's like, okay, be proactive. Look at this report, kind of, you know, just stay on your toes with what's going on in your specific industry. Yeah.
I can't help but dwell that you actually got a box. So that's like real. People really give you a box.
A real box. A real box. And it was the office, the box.
That's literally what I'm thinking right now. And I couldn't help but like kind of like giggle inside as an insensitive asshole. Where I was just like, oh, they actually gave you a box. Jesus Christ, that's crazy to me.
It is crazy. And I'm like, what? Fuck this box. Like,
yeah, like I was imagining how many boxes were thrown that day.
I mean, and then you have to walk out with your box. It was like
embarrassing. Yeah.
It was such a demoralizing experience for all of us. And I would like to hope in any layoffs that I've been a part of, we haven't done people that way. Like it was, again, that was over a decade ago, like very, very, very long time ago. So I would like to think that layoffs have evolved since then. And as far as how we treat people, because that seems like a very dated practice to just be like, and I'm going to get a full day of work out of you and then give you a fucking box and tell you don't have a job anymore. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah. Yes. It was a super bizarre experience, but
yeah. On the flip side though, when you go on this report and let's just say you're in this particular industry, let's just say healthcare, and you don't see any healthcare, like big companies, no competitors, anything like that. I mean, feel good, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time though, I think also looking at this and talking about this more, it's like, you have to understand as an employee and as your role, you have to know how your company's doing. Mm-hmm. You have to know how your department's doing. Mm-hmm. You have to know if you're performing well. So I think maybe that's even like a whole other episode, is like, just be aware. Be an aware person, because what I hate seeing on LinkedIn, boy, it drives me crazy. Maybe because it's also, I've owned my own company for so long, but I hate when people are just bashing the companies, because it's like, at the end of the day, they have bills to pay. Yes, they've made mistakes. Maybe they pay for other things that they shouldn't, but still, it's like, you don't know what they went through. And then also on the flip side, how did you not know they were doing poorly?
Yeah.
Like, did they really hide it that well? Or were you not paying attention?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's, that is like, let's debunk this theory that only a certain level within an organization needs to pay attention. Like, right. I think it's everybody, regardless of what vertical you're in, what your role is, everybody needs to be paying attention. Everybody.
You just gave me the chilies, like big time. Because I'm telling you, that's an episode. I'm like freaking out about it right now. Because why are people not paying attention? We talk about I'm talking faster. I'll calm down. We're talking about leadership at every level, and it's like, that is just paying attention happens at every single level. So
it has to.
It has to. So shame on you if you're not paying attention. All right, I won't go into that tangent.
Well, and then going back to like what our listeners can do, and what we're doing internally, and I think everybody should do, is just be prepared. Like we said, with your LinkedIn, be prepared, with your resume, but also be prepared with your transferable skills doc. Like, that's really, really important. And that's your soft skills doc. That's something, a service that we offer here. It's kind of something that I feel like spearheaded and created, that, really for people that want to get in either from one role to another, one industry to another. It's your soft skills doc that really kind of highlights why, you have these skills as a recruiter that would be great for sales, or why as a teacher, going into content writing, as an English teacher. Like, there are so many different transferable skills across industries, more so than I think people even realize. And so for us, it was like, how can we help people articulate that in these difficult times that we're in right now, in this difficult market? So yeah, I know you want to say something. I know you're like,
I was like, oh my God, I'm just dying. Sorry. But you just dropped it. I didn't know you were going to announce this. This is new. This is great. This is exciting, but it's so relevant. It's exactly what people need to be prepared for.
Yeah. And you need to have that doc ready to go. Like, it's really, really important. It's the new cover letter, y'all. Fuck the old cover letters. No one does that shit anymore. Woo! This is that new that when you go to apply to a job, you will have this soft skills doc. And if you guys want to learn more about that, we're here. Hit us up. We're going to be actually, not if you want to learn, we're going to be kind of shoving it down everybody's throat, because we think
it's needed.
You need to learn. This is needed. You need to be able to do this. You need to know how to do this. There is a format to doing this. It's not just kind of like, it's not a resume format. It's completely different. It's the new. So hit us up for that. But I definitely think that's really important for people to have those three things ready to go at all times: your LinkedIn profile up to date, your resume, and your transferable skills / soft skills doc.
Love it.
Very important.
Love it. So wait, was that your broke to boss tip, or what are you going to hit him with?
No. Well, I was just kind of thinking that the broke to boss tip could be, because this is about the WARN Act, it's just be prepared with the possibility of a layoff, and just use the law to protect your rights. And, actually don't even fucking like that broke to boss tip. So maybe
knowledge is power. That's what
maybe it is our transferable skills. Maybe it is be prepared with those 3 things. But there's lots of little nuggets. I would say that's probably actually a better one. Is just be prepared with those 3 things. Educate yourself. This is another means to do so. And anytime we find things like that, we'll continuously share this with you guys. Because
amen. Love that. Yeah. And if we could just insert, from the Lion King, be prepared. That's what I want.
Nailed it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. This was a great episode. And if you have any questions about the report, hit us up, LinkedIn, comments on YouTube, podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell all your friends that, you listen to these 2 women talk shit every Tuesday. Yeah, but we love it. We love our listeners, and we love the feedback we get from you guys. So thanks so much.
Love it. See you next Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, y'all.